Hello, I am Jarrett. This is Panic Attack Diary number 9. This is April the 4th, the day before my birthday. Yay! Um, so I've had an incredibly interesting month since I had any anxiety attacks at all. What happened was the morning that I felt tenderness on my chest, where my chest tube had been from my lung collapse in 2014, was the indication that I did indeed have another lung collapse. Um, so the doctor who did the X-rays sent me to the local large good hospital here. Well, not here, but south of us, about 70 miles. And I went down there, and I had surgery for a spontaneous pneumothorax, collapsed lung. The surgery was to go in with small camera and small tools, staple all of the things on the outside of my lung that might possibly cause the collapses, and then also to um, cauterize the entire exterior of my lung with I don't know what he used, probably a laser or something, so that the entire outside of my lung would scar, and as it scarred, to stick to the wall of my chest so that the chest wall patches the lung and sits on top of it, and so if anything pops on my lung again in the future, it won't matter because it's sitting underneath a big scar and my chest wall. Um, so the risk of a third lung collapse would have been 70 or 80%. The surgery took all risks of this possibly happening to me again to sub 4%, and the surgeon was fantastic, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But he said that none of his had come back as as failing; that all of them were still up and running. Um, I was certainly afraid throughout the whole business with the doctor's visit and the stay in the hospital, and worrying at the various stages, like worrying about having to get the IV, and then being scared about being wheeled in, but not all that scared about that because I had confidence in the surgeon. And then worry it would that it would collapse while the chest tube was in after I was out of surgery, which didn't happen. My lung reinflated immediately after surgery. A testament to being a singer my entire life. And of course worrying when the chest tube got tied off, which is the test run that they do before taking it out and then sending you home. All of which went just fine. The surgeon was someone that the nurses kind of, would smile and sort of glow to talk about, and telling me, anything that they themselves would need done, they would want him to be the one doing it, which was very reassuring. Um, but I think it's important to think about the fact that I had no anxiety at all about any of the surgery stuff. Um, because I had such confidence in him, but also because I had an actual concrete thing to be afraid of, not not ghosts and shadows and that sort of thing that are the fuel for my anxiety attacks, and worrying about things that I can't control, and worrying about things that are so far beyond the horizon of reality that it's silly, but that's how my anxiety works. So the actual fear and concern about the surgery just burned all of that away. I had the surgery in during spring break, actually, in March, and it's now April the 4th, and I'm 3 weeks out from having had the surgery. Um, and still having some like just soreness, like what you get with the bruise kind of thing on the part of my chest where my lung is, where I have scar tissue forming. So, who big surprise, it's a little bit tender. And then also I had a baby yesterday, and I was holding her like this, and the muscle that's right here is kind of sharply twinging because with the surgery I was babying the side of my body where the lung was, and so I was just being a little cautious. And then I got the baby and I held her, and she weighs all of 10 pounds or something, but that was enough to cause me some discomfort. Um, but today, um, I filled moving boxes because we're moving, and I did a few things around the house like laundry and that sort of thing, which under normal circumstances, of course, is not a big deal. But I am not under normal circumstances because I am still on somewhat restricted um, activity because of the surgery. And I was talking with a guy who he lives here in town, but he's a nurse at the hospital there, and he's on the surgical ward. And he said, so you're still not even 6 weeks out from this, and 6 weeks is kind of the magic the magic window where you're thought of as being fully healed, which I hadn't really thought about. Um, but in doing things like packing the boxes and lifting things, I got a little bit of pain, which meant that I should sit down, so I did. But then my son wanted to ride a bicycle down to the church to visit his mom and see her at work, and that was I couldn't not follow him, but so there was that problem. Um, and then just calling moving companies, and the funny thing is I'm still very excited about the possibility of moving, and during my convalescence with the surgery I've been looking forward to feeling better and feeling well enough to pack boxes, and so it's funny to be feeling a little bit of unease about that, when for the surgery, both the stay in the hospital and all of the time afterwards, I was just fine. Uh, so I think that looking forward to the move is a wonderful thing. Being able to look forward to the move is a wonderful thing. Being able to think of my body and this thing which I occasionally would think about and worry about the possibility that my lung would collapse again. Well, it did collapse again. And I didn't have to go into the kind of scary and not particularly good hospital that's just down the block from us, which is where I was for the first lung collapse, and that was not a good place to be. As opposed to going to the good hospital with the phenomenal surgeon, um, who took away all of my concerns and who fixed this problem so that it won't happen again. Uh, but I'm not back to full strength, and I am still someone who suffers from anxiety despite this wonderful respite that I've had. And so I need to take the indicated rest, which is, um, well, wish I could do more, but I can't, or shouldn't. So, um, panic attack diary number 9, post surgery, and back to myself, but better myself because I'm less worried and far fewer anxiety attacks.